during the renovation, how tired I was, how sick I was, how much I hate picking up a toilet, in the evening and walking out there and I'm like, have a fever and I'm throwing the toilet away into the yard when it's raining.
Yeah.
Why not?
I don't know. Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome back to the HT Show podcast. This is Vien.
This is Kien.
Hey, and let me fake open this because I already opened it.
I'm gonna get
good sound effect, right? Cheers.
Yep.
And why are you drinking water today?
I'm a little sick.
Okay.
So
let me get away.
Yeah,
a little bit.
pretty much. So I need the water to make sure I don't cough as much. And if I do, I apologize. But before we talk about my sickness, please like and subscribe if you can. If you have the finger in the toes, and comment and send us any questions you have. We would love to hear what kind of interests the Vien have out there. Yeah. What kind of topics they want to talk about.
Because a lot of our topics are related to careers or financial or whatever it may be. But we'd love to hear what you guys want to listen to, and we'll try to incorporate that in our future episodes.
Yeah, we don't want to force our likes onto you. Yeah. You should force what you like onto us.
Yes.
Okay.
You know what you like. We don't know what you like. All right, so let's get right into it today. I want to talk about Airbnbs and properties today.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a pharmacist, but you have some experience in this area,
exactly.
Right?
So I'm a pharmacist. Yes. That's my main job. I do own some properties. I own a few properties in St. Louis, Missouri with my brother-in-law. We own it together. So we have like a 7-unit, 2 duplexes, and we just got a 4-unit, a quadplex, right? And then I also have one other unit in St. Louis just by myself. And then I also have a unit over here, a house over here, and another house that was an Airbnb.
Wow! So you're rolling in the dough now, right?
You'll be surprised that when it comes to real estate, the first 5 years are horrible because you pretty much live in poverty because any money you make, you save up for the next one. Any income, any kind of cash flow, like extra money on top of paying for everything, you got to use it to save it up to buy new things and fix things. And you might get a few hundred, 1,000 extra a month or something like that. But let's just say if something breaks down, all that profit you made, right? So you really don't see the benefit till 5 years later. And I'm still at the 4 year mark right
That makes sense because it's one thing that's always put me off onto getting into this field is, you buy a property and let's say you rent it out, right? Even if it's long-term rental, not Airbnb, you may only make like a few $100s extra a month because on top of the mortgage and stuff you have to pay for. So that kind of puts me off. How do you feel?
I completely agree with that. And I'm very happy you feel that way. So it's less competition. But I can definitely see that someone rather put money into stocks because that's almost not as much work. And you can potentially get dividends and stuff like that. $100, $200 with the same kind of money, right? The thing about real estate is that over time, though, maybe even 10 years, you likely, if you stick with it, you probably can kind of not retire, but almost retire, be financially independent at 10 years. Versus when you talk about stocks and especially retirement stocks like 401k and IRA, you can't really take it out till you're older, like 55 or 60 or whatever like that.
Are you hoping to make enough every month to equal to what you make currently with your day job?
Yes, but more so, I want to make it so that I can stop working if I don't have to. So it can be above my day job or less depending on what my family spends.
Right.
But definitely I want to get to that point where I can go to work and say, hey, I don't need to be here. Right. And I think that's a very powerful thing that you're able to say. Right. Yes. Even if you love your job, it's still very powerful to be able to say, I don't need to be here. Yeah. But I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I can say that.
So I think I wish that everyone can. Yeah.
One day. But so let me ask you, how did you get started with this? Because you mentioned you own a few properties in St. Louis and here. Yeah. Can you walk us through a little bit about your very first one?
The first one was pretty much, a lot of that was with my brother-in-law. But the first one that truly did was I live in the house first and then we move out and we did like a long-term rental on that, right? So once we got that one going, I felt like I really need to put my teeth to something that was very difficult and new and very scary to me, right? Maybe that was a bad thing, doing that, right? So I look into doing Airbnb because at that time it was very profitable and there was a lot of commercials for it, right? So we look around the first thing you got to do is you have to find a house for an Airbnb, right? But I didn't really know too much, right? The first thing I did was I looked at AirDNA, which is a website, and you can look around at specific addresses to see if that's a good address or not, and comparable to like the other Airbnbs around the area. So AirDNA. It's not 100% accurate though, because it tells you that you're going to be making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, you still have to put a lot of effort in.
So does that website tell you stuff about like the neighborhood, like how good it is? Like, let's say you want to buy a property to live there. Is it similar to that?
It's more so it looks at all the other Airbnb in the area, and they see what kind of amenities, how much they're charging, how many units they have, how many baths, beds they have. And then they compare it with the address of the house that you are looking at. And they tell you what you can potentially get, right? If you have like the best amenities and stuff like that. That's the thing about Airbnb. With a real-term, long-term rental, you can kind of guess, especially with a property manager, you can kind of guess what kind of rent you get from a tenant. Airbnb, how much money you get is how much effort and how good of a host you are, right? And how much amenities you put in there and how much you stand out. So that's the hard part about Airbnb.
Right. So how do you stand out in one of those cases? Because you're right, there are so many. I've been to a lot of nice Airbnbs, right? I looked at bunch of them on Airbnbs, look at the reviews. How do you stand out?
It's very difficult. So with AirDNA, you can definitely look at I would look at the top, because it tells you the top grossing Airbnb in the area. You would look at the top 5 or something like that, right? Just look at the top 1 and see what they have in common. Some of them might be hot tubs. Some of them might be pickleball courts. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe in this area, maybe 1 or 2 have it. But you see what the top have, right? So you make sure you have all of those amenities that the top 1 have. And you can start out with the most basic thing, like amazing, like you definitely need amazing bed sheets, amazing linens, like the typical stuff that you expect from a hotel, right? But then you have to see what beyond that those other places are doing. Like I mentioned, hot tub, it could be a grill in the back, it could be like sports stuff in the backyard, it could be like amazing shower, amazing bathroom, towel service, anything like that, right? So you need to get that kind of stuff beyond what you need to do already. And then you have to start thinking after that, what can I go to beat the best of the best? And that is very difficult, right? And we can talk more about that kind of later, about how I would recommend someone new starting this. But for me, when I got into this, it was pretty much, we found a house that we could afford. It was a 2-bed, 1-bath. And I pretty much just asked my uncle to help me renovate it, right?
Real quick, did you finance it yourself? You and whoever, if you partnered with anyone, did you finance it or did you have to take a loan for it?
I did it with my own money, right? It was a typical, it was pretty much a typical searching. You work with a real estate agent, you look at a house, and maybe I should have found a better agent who was pretty good, but he wasn't in the investment mindset, right? So we just got a typical house that didn't look that good, and we knew we need to renovate it. Here's this first negative that you have to jump through, which is when you get an Airbnb, you can't renovate a house to look okay enough to rent. You need to renovate it to make it look really good to be an Airbnb. So when you renovate an Airbnb, you gotta make it look better than a rental.
I see.
Right? So you gotta make sure there's at least if you want to stand out, at least you gotta make sure there's tiles in the bathroom. You gotta make sure the bathtub is really nice. You gotta think about the amenities, right? So that's the first part. And to be honest with you, buying this house was very difficult and renovating because it was my first time renovating it. And I'm a pharmacist and I don't know how to renovate, right? I really don't. And to have, being a pharmacist, to have my uncle teaching me as if I was a child, that was very difficult because I'm used to being very respected at my profession. But when someone's teaching you, they're not going to give you respect, which they shouldn't, right? They shouldn't be giving you respect because you haven't earned it.
Right, you need to respect them because they're teaching you.
Exactly, I have to respect my uncle or else he'll just leave, right? So that's going to be one of the hardest things that you deal with when you're doing a renovation like that, that you're completely new and someone's teaching you. That you have to really be open to all kind of criticism and learning, right?
What's interesting about that, so my fiance, her dad and her uncles, they also recently bought a property and they're renovating right now to I don't know if they're flipping it or they're renting it out, but I told my fiance, hey, can one of these days can I come and take a look? Can I come and watch and learn from them? Because maybe in the future I want to do this too. And she said, yeah, I mean this one's almost done, but there'll be plenty of other opportunities. So that's something I really wanted to take a look at.
That might be a different dynamic because you're there to help.
Right.
But imagine if you bought that house and all the money that you put in and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, imagine you coming into the house late at night, 8 p.m. It's thundering. It's after work.
Yeah.
You're not sure if your uncle is going to help you. You're not sure what to do. You tear down some stuff and you see all these pipes and all this electrical.
That's scary.
And it's very scary to be like, number one, it's thundering.
Yeah.
And number two, you're by yourself. And I guess number three, you just bought this very expensive thing and you have no idea it's going to work out. So that kind of pressure on top of someone teaching you, it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah. So the clock's ticking, right? As soon as you buy the property, the clock's ticking because you're losing money on that.
Yep.
Right.
You're losing money and also you're losing face too. Because imagine that other people around you is like, why did you do this?
So
I can't believe you did this.
You have to make it successful. Otherwise,
exactly.
you're
Exactly.
going to look dumb.
Exactly. It's more so because of my wife, because I want to make sure that she has some trust in me, right? I want to succeed to some aspect.
Yeah.
I don't want to give up, right? It didn't matter during the renovation how tired I was, how sick I was, how much I hate picking up a toilet,
Yeah.
In the evening and walking out there and I'm like, have a fever and I'm throwing the toilet away into the yard when it's raining and saying, why am I doing this? It doesn't matter how I feel because I can't ever tell my wife that. I can't ever go home and say, hey, I think this is very difficult.
So one thing is you should have done it in the summer, right? No, you bought the property in was it fall or?
We bought it like late, but I'll be honest, we took so long to renovate. That it was during the summer too. So imagine though, almost half of 9 months, and I miss telling you for this, 9 months of constant hard work, working almost every day, going to work as a pharmacist, going home, going and then working and then rinse and repeat. You don't have any weekends with your family, right? So at the end of the day is this, I learned a lot from this, right? I learned that when you do something new, you need to be humble. That's the first thing, or else no one's going to teach you. A lot of people have too much pride in their life. They have too much pride to learn new things. And they're not going to get anywhere with pride because no one wants to be around someone who's prideful. People might take your money, but if you're cocky and prideful, it doesn't really matter. They're not going to work with you again. They'll take your money once, but you're not good to work with. You're too cocky, they're not going to work with you again.
So let me ask you, going back, how did you, so you bought the property and then what's the next step? So how do you get about renovating it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the next step is definitely talking to my uncle and thinking what he thinks, right? And at that time, I didn't know how to renovate to be a nice thing. We just kind of blindly did it. Be like, well, obviously, we need tiles in the bathroom. Obviously, we need to get rid of all the carpets and put flooring in it. Obviously, we need to paint the whole thing. And the problem with renovating for the first time is if you don't have a vision, you're going to see things and you're just going to start working at it. And then you'll see another thing and you start working at that because of the lack of vision, right? Because I didn't have a vision, right? I didn't have a vision of what it needs to be. So you're always jumping around, adding on things that you shouldn't have because you really don't know what's going to work at the end of the day, And the gung-ho attitude of like, hey, I don't know how to do it, so let's do it, is good, but it's also can backfire if it crushes you. And luckily, it did not crush me.
So you're lucky you had someone there helping you. So what if someone didn't have anybody? Have you gone to YouTube to look at any of those things and how to do things?
I do not recommend YouTubing a whole renovation unless you have no time period, like you have no time frame to finish this in, and you just bought a house and you're super rich and you just want to do this for fun. Right? You can YouTube your whole way through, but there is no way anyone, I mean, unless without any experience, can YouTube your way through a house renovation. Maybe, like I mentioned, if you don't have any pressure, a monkey behind your back and it's done, you might be able to do it in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but you need to get it done. Right? And that's the thing I learned too, which is like with that pressure behind your back, you have to get it done. So it's kind of good to put yourself in that situation as long as you don't crumble. Right? It's like a few other things I learned throughout this whole renovation is if you might look good as a pharmacist wearing scrubs and people might respect you. But if you wear a scrub or pharmacist or whatever lab coat and talk to like an electrician or a plumber, they're going to think you don't know anything and they're going to charge you more, right? So if you're going to talk to a specific person, make sure you dress appropriately. Dress like you're working, dress like you're a renovator, so that you have they know that you have some kind of smarts, so they don't try to trick you.
Well, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Come on, like if you imagine you're trying to sell to someone you think have a lot of money, you're always going to upcharge your price. Right? So that's another thing. That's another thing I learned. Yeah.
Did you use a lot of contractors? For like
we use electrician.
Electricians, yes.
Yeah, electrician for sure.
Yeah, we'd have to.
Yeah, but we pretty much did everything. It was very, I would do it again for sure. But I did, a few things I got from it was I got chronic back pain from it. So I definitely would not run it.
He still has back pain now.
Yeah, I still have back pain now.
So after you renovate the property, what's the next step? After, let's say renovation's all done, what's next?
Now you have to buy, now after all paying all this money, seeing all this money fly out, and you're paying a mortgage the whole time, then you have to actually put furniture in it, right? So you need decent beds, so you got to pay for beds.
But even as a long-term rental, or only for Airbnb?
This is Airbnb. So the thing about Airbnb is, if you put furniture in there, you're kind of committed to doing Airbnb or midterm rental, and we can talk about that later. Sure. But it's tough to have furniture in a house for Airbnb and do a long-term rental, meaning you have normal tenants. Because some tenants like to bring their own stuff, right? Yeah. They don't want all of this other stuff. So if you're going to do Airbnb, you unfortunately have to commit to an Airbnb, right? So you have to get beds, you have linens, tables, ovens, fridge, which you kind of need anyway. Yeah. Good TV, which you normally don't have to provide. But really good rugs, that kind of things. A lot of things, decoration, right? And you can always do a lot of YouTubing to see what kind of decoration works. You can look at other Airbnbs in the area to see like what looks good. Yeah. My wife helped me a lot with the decoration. My wife and my sister-in-law helped me a lot with the decoration. But at the end of the day, we were not professional, right? So
speaking of your wife, I noticed that she is the face of your Airbnb listing. Was that a specific reason for that too? Or I don't think you did most of the work. Why wasn't it your face on there?
Exactly. So we found out, we Googled what gets the most likes on hosts, on bookings when it comes to the host picture. Yeah. And we found out that it's normally a woman, normally wearing a hat, and they're smiling. So luckily we had a perfect picture of my beautiful wife smiling, wearing a hat. So she's a host, but I am the maintenance guy, right? I'm the maintenance guy.
Gotcha. I can totally see that because a lot of good listings that I've seen on Airbnb as well, exactly what you described, right? Yeah. It's generally a middle-aged white woman wearing sunglasses, hat, smiling. Exactly. You're right.
Exactly. Yeah. So when it comes to putting all these things together, you're gonna have to finagle, you're gonna have to look around for furniture because you can't buy everything new. It's very expensive to buy new furniture, even for a 2-bed, 1-bath, right? So you kind of put everything together, you kind of furnish it in a way that looks really nice and kind of stands out really a lot compared to other places around. Remember, you have all this AirDNA data. Yeah. You also have Airbnb itself, so you can look at the houses around you near the area to compare and see if you can stand out, right? You can look at what looks bad and what looks good and try to be better than what looks good. But that's very difficult when starting out, right? To be the best, right?
So then now that your listing's up, how about the tenants? Let's say, how do you deal with bad tenants? Have you had that experience?
So it's not like a situation in a long-term rental when you rent to someone just living there for a long time. You can go through the process of kicking them out and stuff. This is a business, this is a service business, right? I mean, long-term rental kind of is, but this truly is because you have to really play the host. Because if you say something bad or say they're a bad person for coming here, then they'll give you a bad review, right? At the end of the day, we had it's out of 5 stars. So we had 4.83 stars, right? Out of 5. But to get that, you need pretty much almost all 5 stars. Yeah. And you only can get a few 3 or 2, or if you get a 1 star, you're done.
Yeah, you're never going to go back up.
You're going to pull it out because most of the Airbnb that gets the best is 5 stars. Yeah. Right? Yeah. They're 5 stars. Yeah. So getting 4.3 the difference between 4.9 and 4.8 is really huge in people's eyes. Yeah. Very huge.
And the thing is, you can't control it because let's say you have a great tenant or great renter. Yes. But let's say there was some miscommunication or something small, and they can take that thing totally out of proportion and they can write you a bad review just for that, right?
For this part, I would definitely recommend the book Better Properties. Better Properties is put in Better Properties Airbnb. I was lucky to read that book when it just came out when I was doing it. I'm hoping there's another version that came out recently because whether the stuff that's in that book now is kind of obsolete.
Yeah, trends change.
Yeah, because trends and also Airbnb changes. So everything he kind of recommends in there is kind of like the trend has changed already, right? But at least it can talk to you about how to respond to people, right? You kind of really need to be a people person. And you need to be, and I'm talking to some of the negatives, some of the lessons I've learned here. Yeah. I'm the type of person that I don't like to have my phone around, right? I actually don't have a phone with me when I go to bed. Right. I have an alarm clock and my phone is far away, right? I don't like to carry my phone around. I like to be present in the moment. But the problem with having an Airbnb is, and you're a host, well, my wife's a host, but I'm the face behind, I'm the person behind the face, maintenance guy. Is that you always need to be around. Yeah. There are situations that you have to have the phone with you and you have to leave it on. Yeah. And so you can hear the ding or something if someone calls. They rarely call late at night, but sometimes they do. Yeah. And when you do, you have to be open. It might be a pipe bust. It might be the oven doesn't turn on. It might be they can't figure out something, right? In the beginning, you're going to get a lot of these calls or a lot of these reviews saying like, oh, there's no knives, oh, the toilet paper is whatever, or the sheets are not clean or whatever. And each of those things that happen will teach you what you need to do to fix it because you can't let it happen again. Because even one bad comment of 3 saying this place is not clean, you will go out your way to fix it, right? So that's one of the things I learned. Yeah. And besides keeping your phone around with you, you have to bring you on vacation. There was one instance that was on a cruise. So internet on a cruise is pretty difficult, it's bad. Right? And I'll talk about the cleaners later, but my cleaner couldn't come. So I couldn't get another cleaner in time. And I was on a cruise and normally I would just go and try to clean it myself, but I'm far away, right? So I had to call around while I'm on this vacation, figure out if I can find another cleaning team or not. And I couldn't. And finally talked to the people on the cruise with me and they say, hey, this is family member. Maybe one of the family members can come by. So I had to pay the family. I didn't have to, but I paid them really well to come by and teach them how to clean it. Like I was FaceTiming the whole time, the video the whole time, and teaching them how to clean the whole place. And I paid them a decent price to clean it too. So just know that if you're the host, it's gonna take a lot of your time and energy and focus. Even if you don't need to be there all the time, you kind of have to have the phone around with you the whole time. So
with that, now that you have multiple properties, have you considered or do you have a property manager to manage some of that for you?
When it comes to Airbnb, some property manager might take up to 10 to 20, 30% and will cut into your profits. The only way you can make it work is this. If you have at this point in Airbnb, you can make a property manager work. If you have a high quality, top of the line, at least in this area, and its ocean view is huge,
like 4 beds,
4 beds, 3 bath, and the amenities are crazy. There's hot tubs, there's pool tables, there's golf simulation, there's things that poor people, because if you pick the right amenities that makes you stand out, you can charge more. Right, so you have to stand out. Pickleball courts. If you have a pickleball court around here, you can pull people in. Not just that, but the more people you pull in, the more you can filter out the people that will pay less, and you can increase your price.
I see.
Right? So it's not just about pulling more people, but it's about pulling the people that's willing to pay more. You're trying to get those people. So at this point, Airbnb, you can't just be a host anymore, but you have to build an experience. So you might have to build experience. And speaking of that, that's why at one point I was going around to local businesses and stuff like that to try to say, hey, can you team up with me and stuff like that? To like, for example, I was talking to this travel agent, this tour guy in Tacoma, right? And I say, hey, give me I'll advertise for you. I'll leave an advertisement, QR code, and we make this beautiful flyer too, right? It's really beautiful. It has all the stuff you need to do when they come in. It says, welcome to the avocado house. And it has like all the stuff you need to do for the Airbnb. And then it had a QR code for that tour company and say, if you put in avocado house, then you get 20% off your tour.
I see. Yeah.
Right? So that kind of stuff is huge. And at one point I was giving out gift cards, $10 gift cards, say, enjoy, toast me gift card, fresh banh mi or something on me, right? So all these amenities and making an experience. I thought about, hey, maybe we can get nail people to come in and do pedicures and manicures, right? Right? Yeah. But the problem with working all that is you don't know if those amenities are going to work. The amenities that make you stand out, unless you have a lot of people, unless you're constantly on forums and things like that, you don't know what's going to work, right? And with a full-time job, like I can't constantly be like bam, 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 right? I only have one, right? And you need those amenities to stand out. And that was like one of the things where I'm like, to get this house to a new level, I need to pay so much, even more money than I already do. Yeah, that was one of the reasons I kind of stopped doing it. The other negatives. A lesson I kind of learned is having cleaners is a big deal when it comes to Airbnb, right? So you need to renovate, you need to stage it correctly, but cleaners are a big deal because any kind of hair, any kind of whatever, you're done. Yeah, you're gonna get a bad review. Yeah, and I have some guests who just kind of left their hair there and took a picture of it and said, "Hey, we found this," and I was like, "There's no way there's hair there." Because it was in a really weird area. And I was like, I cleaned it. There's no way. But you can't argue with them. Yeah. Because the more you argue, the more likely they're going to give you a 1 star, right? So you say, oh, sorry, let me give you a refund or something.
That's basically what they wanted.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted, right? People will do that.
Essentially a scam,
Yeah. So pretty much you have to deal with that and you need to be okay with that kind of stuff, right? So going to the cleaners, like we asked our neighbor, first it was always me. I did it, right? I did the cleaning, which you kind of have to do in the beginning, right? So you get to know your place. You need to get to know what you want from the cleaning, right? And then after that, I hired my neighbor to do it, right? And then, but she couldn't do it consistently. So then after a while, I finally found a team to do it. Yeah. And I was very blessed, lucky to find someone that was cheap, good price, and did a really good job. And that's very difficult. So once you have your renovation, once you have your things set up with furnishing and everything, and then you really need to get cleaning is the next step that you really need to get on board. Really need to get on board. And that could be to Turno. Turno is a cleaning thing. That's why I recommend using TURNO to try to find your cleaning team, right? And that can be very difficult, but once you get a good cleaning team, you're kind of halfway there. Gotcha. Right.
Yeah, so we went through all the process of buying properties, renovating it, listing it, dealing with tenants. Is there anything else that you would give advice on if someone were to get started in buying a property?
Yeah. In this area, my thing is this. You need to do it in a way that you can have escape strategy. Because if you do it like me, you don't have an escape strategy, right? You need to do it in a way so that you can back out if you need to. And you need to set up yourself for success. And the way to do that, honestly, is kind of like almost every real estate thing, which is you got a house hack, meaning this. House hack, you probably need to save enough money for a 20% down. Sure. You need to buy probably a house with kind of near the ocean view that you kind of like already. You buy it and it'll be it'll be good if the house has like a separate area, like a ADU or something, like a separate small house. They call it mother-in-law suite house in the yard or something like that, right? You want to start with this because you're going to live in the main house and you're going to Airbnb the ADU, the mother-in-law suite, right? You can always buy the house and Airbnb the room in the house. That's possible too. But you need to be okay with people being in your house. Yeah. And you're definitely going to get less guests. You're going to find probably like younger guests that's okay with that, right?
Generally cheaper,
So the first thing I would do is, if you're single, then you can make the decision yourself. If you're married or have a partner and you're living with your partner, then you need to really discuss this with your partner because this is a big deal. This is quite the journey. Even though you're doing it kind of the way that I'm mentioning, which is the easy route, this is still a big deal. This is quite the journey. So once you buy that, save enough money for a down payment of this very nice house, right? You buy it, you furnish it because you're going to furnish your house anyway, right? You're going to put stuff in your house anyway, but the area that you're going to do this, right? With Airbnb, it needs to be nicely furnished, right? And then you just put it up on Airbnb and get at it. And the benefit, one of the benefit to doing it in your own house is that they're less likely to give you bad reviews if they see the face. Let's just say they come in and say, hey, how's it going? Hey, let me bring your bags in. This is how Airbnb started, by the way. It started like this. It's supposed to be a local person. You're supposed to be kind of in the house or near them. And they can be like, you talk to them and then you can be like, oh, this is where I would go. This is what I would do. Like that's how Airbnb started.
So direct customer
service, right? Before it became this huge business, right? And you had the benefit of that at least. And if you decide not to do it anymore because you're like, this is not worth my time, then you can back out and you still have a house that you're living in because you need to pay for a house you're living in anyway. And maybe you can either rent that room out like normal or you can rent that that ADU out, the mother-in-law suite out, right? It makes it a lot easier for sure, right? That's the way I would do it. Right, I wouldn't buy a house straight up. Not in Tacoma. It's very expensive to do that here.
Yeah, because your escape plan would be to sell the house, hopefully make it some sort of profit on it.
And if you do 1 year Airbnb and you're not making money and you're selling it, you're not going to be making any money.
Because you're already putting money to renovate and to do all the stuff already.
Exactly. Even unless you renovate a house from a 2-bed into more bedrooms, you might make some money. But likely what you renovate is this. You renovate the house to make it look very beautiful. Right? And that might increase the price, but it's never going to increase the price the same as giving it more beds and more baths and stuff like that. Right? So it's not the same thing as long-term rental for sure. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing Airbnb because mine, even at 4.83 or something like that, Superhost or guest, whatever. And it was making me $300, $400 above if I were just to rent it out long term. So to me, it was like, was it worth my weekends? Was it worth my sleep? Was it worth everything? I did this for like almost a year, right? And I think I did pretty good for a new person, right? And I did this for a year. And was this worth all my time, $400 a month? And I'll be honest, it wasn't. Because on Saturday, I want to spend time with my kids. On Sunday, I want to do Tilney stuff, right? And you have to go there and be like, fix the oven or something like that, right? If you do that, even though it takes 1 hour, it ruins the whole plan for the whole Saturday. So to me, it wasn't worth my sleep anymore for an extra $300. It definitely wasn't. But I honestly, when it comes to real estate, if you really want to do Airbnb, you really have to be a people person. You really want to be like, I want to give people experiences when they come into my house. You want to be the host. So if you're the type of person that loves hosting and loves showing people around, then I would do the method that I mentioned. But I wouldn't jump straight into it.
Gotcha. Well, that's really good advice. You know what? I don't know if that helped my decision of going into it or going out of it, But I have my own ways of, like you said, I prefer doing stocks and getting dividend incomes every month.
That honestly would
be a lot easier.
I think the main thing in life is at one point, you got to pick something. Because if you don't have your own plan and your own dreams, when you hear other people's plan and dreams, you'll just try to follow them. So be concrete in your own ideals so that you're not like scatterbrained and looking, like anytime you see something new, you're searching for it, right? So be solid.
Good advice. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. Please remember to comment, like, subscribe. See you next time.
See you next time.